Life is an open field, not a train track. My wife, Isabelle, screamed at me, her voice raw and cracking. Seeing her on the verge of a complete breakdown, a bitter taste filled my mouth. I'm a senior project manager at a large insurance firm, and I make a good salary. We might not be fabulously wealthy, but we lived a comfortable, happy life. But somewhere along the line, Isabelle had grown to despise that stability, to see it as a cage. I refuse to let my life be buried under bills and petty dramas. I won't be suffocated by your boring, cookie-cutter rules. I'll watch my frantic wife, the sound from a TikTok video on her phone bleeding into the room. 10 things every woman must do before she dies. I felt a profound sense of helplessness. To be honest, since we got married, I'd handled almost all the chores. I never burdened her with the small, tedious details of running a household. I didn't understand how the good life we had built after a few dozen short videos had suddenly become so unbearable in her eyes. To achieve her total liberation, she had already asked for a divorce multiple times. But for the sake of our family, for our son, I fought to keep us together. I chose to support her dreams, hoping that after a few trips, a few adventures, she would be ready to come back home. But my constant compromises didn't change her mind. In just 1 year, she burned through our entire savings and racked up a mountain of high-interest online loans. Every time I tried to reason with her, she'd just scoff. Don't you dare try to chain me with your pathetic conventional standards. Only a spineless coward like you would treat a dead-end 12 grand a month job like it's some kind of treasure. She'd then pick up her copy of Girl Boss Your Way to 7 figures from the coffee table. Tucked between the pages was a glaring receipt. Patagonia 10-day expedition, $9, 800. Debt collectors started showing up at our door. Again and again, I was the one who dealt with them, who took the fall for her. One night, after sending another group of them away, I collapsed onto the sofa, exhausted. Isabelle, in a shocking change of pace, approached me with 2 glasses of red wine. Her silk nightgown shimmered in the warm lamplight. It was the first time in 3 years she had poured me a drink. I thought she had finally come to her senses. I happily drank with her. The moment the wine went down, a wave of dizziness hit me, followed by a searing pain in my stomach. I stared at Isabelle in disbelief. Her expression was cold, her eyes utterly devoid of emotion. She pulled out a blood-soaked knife and produced a blood-splattered life insurance policy. The payout should be enough for my trip through South America. When I woke up again, I was back in a moment. She first asked me for a divorce. 1. Just sign it. The divorce papers slapped down on the kitchen island. Isabelle's cherry red nail tapped the clause on asset division. The savings are mine. The house is yours. Done. I agreed without a second's hesitation, picked up a pen, and signed my name. She froze, clearly stunned that I had agreed so easily. You're not going to try and stop me. The Van Cleef and Arpels necklace I had just bought to appease her dangled from her neck, its clover shape catching the light. Stop you. I laughed coldly to myself. If I was the same idiot I was in my last life, then I didn't deserve this second chance. You've obviously made up your mind. I have no right to hold you back. I get it now. You were right all along. Life is meant to be lived, and I shouldn't be the anchor weighing you down. Isabelle gave me a smug, glad you finally see it look, and sneered. I'm going to photograph the stars over Zion National Park. I'm going to chase rainbows in the midst of cascading waterfalls in Costa Rica. I'm going to weave the poetry of the highlands between the silver ribbons of an Icelandic glacier. My life will be a masterpiece, elevated by these journeys. And you? You could never understand the sheer vastness of it all. So you just go on and live out your boring, pointless little life. I ignored her, placing the salmon I had just cleaned on a plate. In my past life, it was meant to be her dinner. Now I could treat myself. Today was a day worth celebrating with a drink or 2. Seeing this, Isabelle scoffed again. Your life is just like that dead fish. You'll never escape the bottom. You're like the groundskeeper of this crappy condo complex. All you know how to do is trim the ivy. There's nothing wrong with the daily grind, I said. Let's go to the courthouse now and get this over with. The clerk at the county courthouse was efficient, and the paperwork was done in no time. Isabelle looked at the divorce certificate in her hand, unable to hide her excitement. My life is finally beginning again. The wide-open field, That's where I belong. I held my own certificate, grateful for my own rebirth. This time, I would cut all ties with Isabelle Reed and never let her drag me down again. 2. I hailed an Uber without a backward glance at Isabelle. The aroma of smoked meats drifted from Sal's Deli at the corner of my street. The fruit at the stand next to it looked especially fresh. "Hey Sal, let me get half a pound of pastrami, a rotisserie chicken, some pulled pork, and a side of mac and cheese." "Whoa, Ethan. Got company. Is this going to be enough?" "Plenty. It's all for me." "Attaboy. You're looking good, glowing even. Must be celebrating something." "You have no idea, Sal. It's a great day. Time for a couple of beers to celebrate." The period that followed was the most peaceful I'd had since my wedding day. With Isabelle and her spending gone, my $12,000 a month plus salary was more than enough. I suddenly had so much more free time. I'd work during the day, then come home to drink tea and watch a movie. On weekends, I'd meet up with a few friends to go hiking or grab dinner. Sometimes, I'd cook myself a huge meal and enjoy it with a glass of good whiskey. Life was simple and fulfilling. And Isabelle, after the divorce, was clearly living the life she had always dreamed of. Her social media was constantly updated. At 3 a.m. on the day of our divorce, her Instagram story, a close-up of a champagne flute in a first-class airplane cabin, her newly dyed ash blonde hair reflected in the glass. Caption: "Life isn't a track, it's an open field. Year 1 of my freedom." The comments flooded in. "You're such a badass queen. Living the dream. Be free for all of us, Izzy." Isabelle replied, "Remember, ladies, a man is like the fleece lining of a winter coat. Ditch him when the season changes." A day later, location tagged at a luxury resort in Sedona, Arizona. The photo: a cashmere wrap slipping off her shoulder to reveal a lotus flower tattoo, a hand adorned with a silver ring from a Santa Fe boutique holding an artisanal pour-over coffee. "So beautiful. OMG, Izzy, that hand. I can't." The validation from her online sisters fed her ego, which was one of the reasons she fell deeper and deeper into the trap. Of course, there were plenty of vulgar, suggestive comments too, but instead of getting angry, she reveled in them. This is the kind of charisma a modern woman should have. She'd tell herself, "A woman chasing freedom is the most beautiful woman of all." In the beginning, it was all relatively normal. The spending was extravagant, but still within the realm of the money she took. In my past life, I had supported her, thinking she was just bored at home and needed to blow off some steam. I thought one trip would be enough to get out of her system. I had severely underestimated her capacity for recklessness, and it led to my tragic end. 3. Sunlight filtered through the blinds, weaving a diamond pattern on the floor. I was relaxing in my armchair, sipping a freshly brewed coffee. My phone rang. It was my boss, Mr. Wallace. I rarely worked overtime, so a call on the weekend was unusual. I was curious. Then, suddenly, I remembered. I quickly answered. "Mr. Wallace. Ethan, emergency situation. Get to the office conference room ASAP." Wallace was a man of few words. My heart skipped a beat. It's happening. The project. In my past life, I was so mentally drained by Isabelle's drama that, despite being well regarded by management, I was completely useless during that period. I offered no valuable input on the project, coasted through my involvement, made frequent mistakes, and was eventually pulled from it. Later, after the debt collector showed up at the office, I was forced to resign. This time, I was free from all that. In fact, I was in peak condition. Work hard, live well. On my way, I accepted without hesitation. This was my chance, and I had been preparing for it for weeks. In the Uber on the way to the office, I opened my phone. As expected, Isabelle had a new post. A photo of her, leaping into Iceland's Blue Lagoon. Caption: "Freedom is a whale fall 10,000 feet beneath the sea." Another post showed a stark, frozen landscape under the ethereal blue-green glow of the northern lights. Caption: "As the glacier cracked beside me and a reindeer crossed the silent tundra, I finally understood that line from Into the Wild. True freedom is freedom that doesn't need to be proven. The end of the world and the unforgiving wonderland. It's all right here." Hashtag Arctic Diary, hashtag Year Off Freedom, day 38. The comments section was a firestorm of praise. "Izzy, you're basically the Statue of Liberty since the divorce. Did you scatter your ex-husband's ashes in the Arctic Circle, girl? LOL. There was also a video. Darling, this is living. Her fair-weather friend, Chloe, raised a glass of champagne on a video call. Show everyone the new yacht you bought. Make that cheapskate ex of yours furious. Isabelle panned the camera to a white yacht moored by a coral reef. The words Freedom Queen were sprayed on the hull in gold glitter. The comments were instantly flooded with shrieks of envy. No one cared that the boat was just a rental, and no one knew that Isabelle had just maxed out several credit cards to pay for it. I quickly scrolled through it all with a cold smile. I had given Isabelle all our savings in the divorce. It was a substantial amount, enough to fund a lot of travel. Unfortunately, her appetite had grown with each trip. She was no longer satisfied with ordinary travel. Her current level of spending was far beyond her means. Soon, the consequences would come for her. 4. The air conditioning couldn't cut through the tense atmosphere in the conference room. A few years ago, the company had launched a new agribusiness initiative, investing in thousands of acres of cherry and blueberry orchards, which were just now reaching their peak production season. From my memories of my past life, I knew that the major grocery distributor we had a contract with had just backed out. That's why this emergency meeting was called. Cherries have a short harvest window and don't store well. With the fruit about to ripen, the situation was critical. All right, people, let's hear your ideas, Mr. Wallace said, his voice grim. Dave Henderson, the head of distribution, spoke first. The priority is to find a new partner. Old Man Hemlock over at the regional co-op was asking just yesterday. By the time they send a team to inspect and haggle over the price, the fruit will be rotting on the branch, someone shot back. Contact the major wholesale markets. No single wholesaler can take this volume, and we don't have the time or manpower to break it up. What about corporate partnerships or community co-ops? Opening the orchards for you pick, bundling it with local tourism. Same problems. One by one, ideas were proposed and shot down. Why don't we try live stream selling? I said loudly as the discussion began to die down. When the wind is blowing, even a pig can fly. Having lived this once before, I knew that live stream commerce was one of the biggest storms on the horizon. For solving our current crisis, it was the perfect solution. Across the long table, Brenda Martinez, the brand manager, was the first to object. Live streaming? You want our multi-million-dollar agribusiness to look like some influencer hawking junk from their garage. Brenda, last year, when Michigan's tart cherry crop failed, a single-family orchard sold 70,000 pounds in one live stream, and they increased their price per unit by 40%. This model hadn't fully exploded yet, at least not in our sector. Some of the senior managers were skeptical. We can make videos for e-commerce platforms, but that doesn't let the customer see the fruit coming directly off the tree with their own eyes, I continued, pressing my advantage. We start streaming every morning at 6 a.m., while the dew is still on the cherries. We get close-ups of the frost on the fruit. A drone flies overhead to show the scale of the operation. Our quality control inspector is on site, sorting the fruit live. The host is eating it right there on camera. Refrigerated trucks are waiting at the bottom of the hill. Every box is packed with 2 ice packs, ready for nationwide shipping. Freshness is the best advertisement. I declared, a cherry bought from a traditional retailer takes at least 5 days to reach the customer. But a cherry ordered from our live stream? Today it's on the tree. Tomorrow it's bursting with juice in a bowl in New York or Los Angeles. Of course, we can run the UPIC and tourism programs at the same time. The slightly lower grade fruit can be used for value-added products like jams, ciders, and dried cherries. I had been preparing for this for a long time. I anticipated their skepticism and had answers for all their doubts, complete with data, case studies, and video examples I had prepared. In the end, I won the unanimous approval of the senior leadership. Mr. Wallace even appointed me to lead the entire project on the spot. I knew I'd be given a significant role, but being put in charge of the whole thing was a welcome surprise. It seemed that once I stopped caring about Isabelle, even my luck had turned around. 5. The night rain in Bangkok fell like melted asphalt, smearing the neon signs of the tourist district. Inside a bar, Isabelle swirled her mojito, the strap of her silk dress slipping from her shoulder. A man at the next table raised a DSLR camera. Miss, you have an entire galaxy in your eyes. Call me Izzy. Mark, I'm a freelance photographer. He lowered the camera. I'm looking for the perfect model for a cover shoot. His lens suddenly focused on the tattoo just below her collarbone. What a beautiful design, like a phoenix rising from the ashes. He leaned in closer, his breath smelling of whiskey. The moon tonight is like the diamond chip on your collarbone. The expensive silk dress lost its elegance, tossed carelessly on the floor with the rest of their clothes. Black stockings were torn to shreds. The hotel's floor-to-ceiling window reflected two entangled figures, oblivious to the eyes of the city below. A minute later, Isabelle took the glass of champagne the man offered and drained it in one gulp. Freedom is living in every single breath. At 3 a.m., she secretly took a picture of his sleeping profile and posted it to her Instagram. Met my soulmate. Dozens of envious comments appeared instantly. One from a close friend read, "OMG, he's 10 times hotter than that dead fish ex of yours. This is the kind of man you marry. Someone who's seen the world, who won't be easily tempted, who knows a woman should be cherished, not some small-minded fool. A true partner is someone your soul connects with." Isabelle fell asleep, deeply satisfied, completely ignoring the email notifications for her credit card bills, each one a glaring red flag. Freedom was all that mattered. Money, that vulgar necessity, could be acquired whenever she truly wanted it. Outside the window, the jacaranda trees were in full bloom. Purple petals drifted down, landing on the wrinkled silk shirt on the floor. Isabelle woke in the morning light, her fingertips tracing the dried sweat on her skin. The raw, thrilling sensation excited her. After they enjoyed an exotic breakfast, Mark lit a cigar. Have you ever heard of the jade mines in Paquint? You cut open a worthless-looking rock, and inside, you might find a fortune in imperial green. Isabelle shook her head. Mark smiled mysteriously. Come on, baby. I'll show you something real. They passed through the slums of a border town and into a raucous lot filled with the roar of cutting machines. Isabelle watched as Mark bought 3 rough stones. The first one was cut open to reveal worthless gray rock. The second was full of spiderweb cracks. When the third was cut, the crowd around them gasped. Mark grabbed her hand and pressed it against the cut surface. The cross-section of the jade glowed with a plastic-like, fluorescent green. Baby, love is like gambling on stones. He grinned. Like it. Isabelle's eyes lit up with excitement. The feeling was intoxicating. He had just given her a stone worth a fortune. Making money really was this easy. How could that pathetic loser, who cherished his dead-end salary, ever have deserved her? When you had the right vision and status, money was the least important thing. This, she thought, is a real man. Back at the hotel, Mark mysteriously produced another gift box. A present for you, baby. He kissed her cheek. It's a sample of the wedding dress I ordered for you. Someone who truly cares for you surprises you at every turn, she thought, her heart pounding. This is real love. Her hands trembled as she opened the package. Inside was a set of revealing lingerie and a new, unopened video camera. I like it, baby. Isabelle's face flushed. She felt a surge of humiliation, but beneath it was a stronger, unfamiliar thrill of excitement. She didn't hate the feeling, not all. For the next several days, they were inseparable. Isabelle experienced a world of novelty and stimulation she had never known. Good times never last, Mark said one evening. I just got an invitation to an international photography exhibition. I'm afraid we'll have to part ways for a little while. Darling, I have to go back to the States for a bit too, but you have to call me the second you're free. I promise. I still have to take you to see the pyramids in Egypt and the Eiffel Tower in Paris. Isabelle began her journey home, completely satisfied. The trip had been perfect, and this was just the beginning of her good fortune. Her life held even more spectacular views ahead. Back in the hotel room, Mark smirked as he watched the video on his phone. A free woman, he mused, definitely has a unique flavor. On a notorious adult video site, his Wanderlust series had been updated for several days straight. Thanks to its high-definition, multi-angle shots and continuous storyline, it had already amassed millions of views. 6. The drone footage of the cherry orchard looked like a sea of pink clouds. Morning dew shattered into rainbows in the camera lens, finally settling on a close-up of a farmer's calloused hands cradling the fruit. The promotional video hit 10 million views, and we had already spent hundreds of thousands on marketing. The cherries are almost ripe. We need to launch the online pre-sale immediately. I announced. We're having trouble with hiring hosts, my assistant, Sophie, reported. All the experienced local talent has been signed by our competitors at a higher rate. Most of the company's leadership was conservative, but our competitors had smelled the changing winds and had started preparing early. Go to Syracuse and Northwestern. Recruit from their communications programs. I want people with a great presence and strong speaking skills. Double their salary. Don't be afraid to spend money. Once they're hired, you'll train them personally. They need to know our product inside and out in the shortest possible time. Got it. And we need to speed up the hiring of temporary workers for picking and packing. We don't have nearly enough. Increase their wages by another 30%. You're just burning money before we've even sold a single cherry? The CFO slammed his hand on the table, furious. Every other year, we've had pickers begging for work. Do you have any idea how much you've already spent since you took over this project? And it's only been a few days. This upfront investment is non-negotiable, I replied calmly. If we wait until the cherries are ripe, it will be too late. These old-timers in the company still hadn't changed their mindset. Just because I had convinced the CEO didn't mean they were on board. I was used to them questioning my every move. Only Sophie, my assistant, executed my orders without question. As a recent college graduate, she adapted to new ideas quickly. And another thing, the CFO continued, his voice rising. You spent a fortune to bring in a bunch of college kids? What do they know? They have zero experience. And we already have enough temp workers. Why are you raising their wages? Do you think the company's money grows on trees? I don't need experience. I need energy. They won't just be hosting live streams. They'll be creating short-form video content for TikTok and Reels. And we are nowhere near enough temp workers. My decision is final. If you have a problem with it, you can take it up with Mr. Wallace and have me removed. Now, this meeting is over. I didn't give him a chance to respond. I had no time to waste arguing with dinosaurs. The results would speak for themselves. The conference room gradually emptied. Here's the cold chain logistics proposal you asked for, Sophie said, handing me a folder. I noticed she was wearing the latest smartwatch. Her navy blue dress highlighted the pale skin of her neck, and a lock of her waist-long hair was tied back with a cherry-themed scrunchie, sweeping a gentle arc across her shoulder as she moved. Oh, you finished it already? Nice work. I pulled an all-nighter. The cherry season is almost here. We're already behind schedule. Every second counts. Great. You can get back to it. I'll review this now. I was extremely pleased with Sophie's performance. She was adaptable, proactive, and incredibly sharp. My phone rang. The caller ID read, Isabelle Reed. 7. Wire me $2 million. The moment I answered, Isabelle demanded money in a commanding tone, without any pleasantries. I wasn't surprised by her attitude. It was the same in my past life. Whenever she ran out of money, she'd come to me. Even though we were divorced now, that hadn't changed. I don't know if she had forgotten or simply didn't care. In my past life, my submissiveness only made her more audacious. First, I don't have it. Second, even if I did, I wouldn't give it to you. Have you forgotten that we're divorced? So what? Just because we're divorced, you can't make money? Still pathetic. If you don't have $2 million, then $200,000 should be fine. It's not like you have anything to spend it on. Just use your last few paychecks and borrow some from friends. It shouldn't be hard to pull together. I need it for something important. God, you're so hopeless. I'll pay you back in a month tops. She spent money like water, never earned any herself, and had no concept of its value. Her tone didn't surprise me, but it was so absurd, I almost laughed. Isabelle, are you out of your mind? If you're sick, go see a psychiatrist. And do you really think $200,000 is a small amount? Why don't you try earning it yourself? If you want money, go ask your soulmate. Stop bothering me. I'm Busa. I hung up before she could say another word, a cold sneer on my face. She was asking for money much earlier than in my past life. It seemed her spending this time around was even more out of control. Not my problem. Beep, beep, beep. Hearing the dial tone, Isabelle's face darkened. Ugh, that loser is as useless as ever. He's just jealous I found true love. Asking Mark for money. It's a beautiful life. I'm beautifully in love. Her custom ringtone for him played. A smile spread across Isabelle's face. Talk about being on the same wavelength. Darling, Guess where I am? Does it matter where you are? It's not like you can just appear in front of me. Don't be so sure. Look around. Isabelle then received a selfie video. The background was the iconic skyline of her own city. Oh my God, darling. You always know how to surprise me. Inside a five-star hotel suite, the two of them, drenched in sweat, were wrapped in a highly suggestive embrace. You're getting more and more creative, the man said, his words crude and unrestrained. Isabelle seemed to have grown accustomed to it. The shyness she once had was gone, replaced by pure enjoyment. After their passions subsided, the man lit his customary cigar. Darling, I actually came back early because I need to talk to you about something. Oh, what is it? Intrigued, Isabelle held back her plan to borrow money from him. Do you know how insane the beauty industry is in South Korea? He tossed her a diamond-encrusted phone. The screen displayed a sleek, metallic device. This is from my friend's flagship clinic in Gangnam, Seoul. Mark swiped through the photos. Crystal chandeliers hung over gold-plated treatment beds. Before and after pictures showed the faces of Korean celebrities, completely rejuvenated. A free woman shouldn't be bound by money. Be my woman, and financial independence will be effortless. This machine is worth $80,000, but even a used one is considered top of the line in the US. I have a connection who can get them for less than $5,000 each. You're so beautiful. You'd be the perfect advertisement. The moment you open a salon, all the wealthy socialites will be lining up. You'll make your money back in 3 months, tops. Once it's established, you could be a hands-off owner, making millions a month while you sleep. Then we'll have all the time in the world to explore our open fields together. And even if you don't open a salon, you could flip these machines for 4 or 5 times the price. Isabelle's heart pounded, but she was hesitant. All her credit cards were maxed out. But looking into Mark's adoring eyes, she swallowed the words she was about to say. He cares so much about my future. How can I ask him for the startup capital? Darling, I need a little time to prepare. Give me 2 days, okay? Of course. My connection is always there for you. But try to be quick, my love. The sooner we do this, the sooner we can be free together. Isabelle quickly dressed and left. Watching her go, the man's lips curled into a playful smile. A free and independent woman, huh? Ethan, you need to sell the house right now and get me $2 million. You're really beyond help. I'm borrowing it. 1 month max. I'll pay you back $3 million. That's more money than you'll ever make in your entire life. Let me give you one last piece of advice, Isabelle. Nothing in life is free. Beep, beep, beep. I hung up. Isabelle had completely lost her mind, devoid of any capacity for critical thinking. Warning her was the most I could do. Besides, I was swamped with work and had no time for her nonsense. Cowardly, spineless loser, Isabelle cursed under her breath. Mom, I need some capital for a business. But honey, that's our retirement fund. Don't worry, it'll double in a week. Next month, I'll buy you a new mansion. Hey Ashley, I found a foolproof investment. Smuggled Korean beauty machines. We can flip them for 3 times the profit. You invest $20,000, I'll give you back $30 next month. A message popped up from her younger cousin. Hey Izzy, I'm still $8,000 short for my down payment. Isabelle instantly replied with a 60-second voice memo. Give that money to me. I'll turn it into $16,000 in 6 months. Your brother-in-law. Ugh, that coward. He's poor because he was always too scared to invest. Ladies, get on board now. Isabelle sent a voice message to her fan group, the clinking of whiskey glasses audible in the background. I'm crowdfunding for my new beauty clinic, starting at 5% monthly returns. She posted a Photoshop picture of the machines next to a champagne tower. Her Instagram caption read, "A woman building her own empire is the most beautiful thing in the world." Still not enough? So what if the interest rate is 18%? Isabelle stared at the loan apps on her phone, her finger hovering over the Borrow Now button. Her bloodshot eyes were reflected on the screen. I can flip them and double my money instantly. And once the clinic is open, I'll be making money in my sleep. She gritted her teeth and pressed down hard. Late at night, Isabelle lay in bed, crunching the numbers. When the calculator hit $468,000, she was so excited she spilled champagne on the bedsheets. The photos she posted showed stacks of cash covering her hotel bed. New age, independent woman. Startup capital. Secured. Square root. At 2 a.m., I received a text from her. Look at you, still slaving away for that pathetic salary. You thought I was just wasting money? Don't come begging when I pull up to your office in a Maserati. Dear valued client, your order of 80 Celoderm Pro beauty devices has been shipped from South Korea. Isabelle screenshotted the customs clearance form and posted it with the caption, "To everyone who ever looked down on me, get your knees ready." Of course, she tagged me specifically. All I could think was, you can't reason with someone who's determined to self-destruct. I didn't respond. The shipping was fast. A few days later, the cargo arrived. Isabelle changed into a silk blouse. Something Mark had told her was the standard uniform for a lady boss. She was going to do a live unboxing to let everyone witness this momentous occasion. All right, ladies, the shipment is here. Is this just a shipment? No, this is our glorious future. This is mansions, supercars, Birkin bags. This is our endless open field. Izzy is my idol. So gorgeous and a brilliant businesswoman. Be my sugar mama. Her ex-husband must be kicking himself so hard right now. Watching the comments scroll by, Isabelle smiled with satisfaction. I can smell the ocean air, she said, closing her eyes and taking a deep whiff of a newly opened box, imagining the sea breeze in her hair. And now, for the moment you've all been waiting for. In the next instant, her smile froze. The box didn't contain a sleek, pearlescent machine. It was filled with what looked like discarded electronic waste. The charging ports were even crusted with green corrosion. What? What is this? A free gift? They could have sent something decent. Yes, that must be it. Isabelle struggled to maintain her composure, no longer paying attention to the live chat. She ripped open a second box, her movements now frantic and stripped of their earlier grace. The result was the same as the first, and the third, and the fourth. The scent of the ocean was replaced by the acrid smell of plastic from the boxes, a wave of nausea rising in her throat. Isabelle crumpled to the floor amidst the sea of packing foam, her nails digging deep into her palms. The devices at the bottom of the boxes had a cheap, plastic sheen. The Korean label was peeling up at the corner, revealing a stamp underneath. Made in China. Her hands shaking, she clawed at the other labels, her nails making a harsh scraping sound against the plastic. Suddenly, she grabbed her phone. The customs photo was still on the screen. When she zoomed in until it was pixelated, she could see the clear, jagged lines of a sloppy Photoshop job around the container number. This is impossible. She grabbed the nearest device and hurled it against the wall, where it shattered into pieces. In her breakdown, she forgot to end the live stream. Countless missed calls cascaded down her phone screen. A voice message from her cousin pierced the silence. You said it was a sure thing. That's why I gave you my down payment. The real estate agent is calling me for the money. What am I supposed to do now? Sweetheart, what's going on? You didn't get scammed, did you? That was our life savings. Isabelle Reed, you liar. Bitch, give us our money back. Isabelle couldn't even look at the live comments anymore. Her stomach suddenly cramped violently, and as she scrambled for the bathroom, she knocked over the coffee table. The shower head, somehow knocked on, was spraying cold water, which ran from her hair and her eyes. Coming to her senses, she frantically dialed Mark's number. The automated message saying the phone was off sent a chill down her spine. She realized she was facing the worst-case scenario. The thought turned her blood to ice. She collapsed to the floor like a marionette with its strings cut, completely lost. 10. Ethan. Isabelle's voice on the other end of the line was stripped of its usual arrogance. 10,000. Just lend me $10,000. Help me pay off this one loan, and as soon as I find him... Isabelle was like a cornered animal, hounded by friends and family for money, bombarded with messages from the investors she had recruited. But the worst were the online loan companies, whose collectors were now showing up at her parents' house. The stress had caused her father to have a heart attack. He was in the ICU, and they couldn't even afford the medical bills. I only knew this because my former mother-in-law had called me, also asking for money. I told her I was sorry, but there was nothing I could do. I had no relationship with her family anymore. No, just 1,000. I swear I can earn it all back. I warned you, Isabelle. And don't call me again. You were just waiting for this, weren't you? Waiting to watch me fail. This is all your fault. If you had just sold the house earlier, I wouldn't have had to borrow money from other people. I'm in this mess because of you. When I refused to help again, she flew into a rage. She saw no fault in her own actions. If I had just given her the money, she wouldn't have to pay anyone back. Just like in our past life, she felt entitled to my support, as if the universe revolved around her. If you don't give me the money, I'm coming to your office. Let's see how you handle that. You can try. Her threats meant nothing to me anymore. If you give in to someone like her once, they'll walk all over you forever. Isabelle hung up, her voice dripping with venom. Ethan Chun, you're forcing my hand. The banging on my door was thunderous. But it wasn't Isabelle. It was the debt collectors. I wasn't surprised. By my calculations, she had been dodging them for a while now. This is the loan agreement your wife signed. You have 3 days to pay back the principal and interest in full. Several large, intimidating men in black shirts stepped into my apartment, their eyes cold. In my past life, I was blindsided by this, completely shocked. I still couldn't bring myself to abandon her completely, so I sold the house. I borrowed money from friends and colleagues to barely cover her debts. What a fool I was. This time, I was prepared. I had the divorce certificate ready. Sorry, guys. We've been divorced for months. You'll have to take it up with her directly. You can sell her to the highest bidder for all I care. It has nothing to do with me. Of course, they weren't so easily dismissed. But my attitude was firm, and I showed no fear. After they came by a few more times and did their own research, they finally gave up. They knew they couldn't get a dime out of me, so there was no point in wasting their time. 11. Isabelle's threat was simple. Cause a scene at my office. In the past, that tactic always worked. I would have done anything to avoid public embarrassment and protect my job, but I wasn't afraid anymore. What was coming would come. I had to face it. Her threat was hollow. She never showed up. A few days earlier, Isabelle stood across the street, staring at my office building with venom in her eyes. Just as she was about to go inside and start screaming, her phone rang. It was Mark, who had been missing for days. Forgetting all about me, she quickly answered the phone. You liar. You scammer. Give me back my money, or I'm calling the police. Darling, I'm so sorry. I was careless. I got scammed too. Do you have any idea what I've been through? Baby, don't worry. I'll take full responsibility. I will cover all your losses and help you make 10 times more than you would have before. Really? Of course, I swear it. You'll see when you get here. I'll give you half of my business empire. Baby, where are you? It's not safe to fly right now. I'll send a car to pick you up. I promise I will make this right. A short while later, a black van pulled up. Isabelle hesitated for a moment, then got in. She decided to see Mark first. She glanced one last time in the direction of my office and muttered, Ethan Chun, I'll let you off the hook for now. But when I come back rich, I'll make you kneel and apologize to me. The van rattled along for days. Just as Isabelle was starting to feel sick from the journey, they finally arrived. Darling, you must be exhausted. Let me take you to rest. No. First, you tell me how you're going to fix my problem. Ajade ming. Mark said with a mysterious smile. When the van stopped in a border town trading zone, Isabelle looked at the foreign script on the signs, feeling disoriented. Have some milk tea first. He handed her a cup beaded with condensation. The mine owner will be here soon. This deal is worth at least 100 million. I'm giving you half the ownership rights as my apology. Isabelle was suspicious, but she couldn't suppress the thrill of excitement. She took a large gulp of the milk tea to calm her nerves. The sweet coconut flavor was mixed with a strange bitterness. A wave of dizziness washed over her. Where is this one going? A man with a thick accent asked in another language, kicking her leg. The last 2 we sent to Mayawati didn't even last a day. It was the last thing Isabelle heard before she lost consciousness. 12. The smell of antiseptic mixed with rotting flesh filled her nostrils. Isabelle woke up convulsing on a metal frame bed. Rusted shackles had rubbed her ankles raw. On the opposite wall hung a whip with metal barbs, its dried bloodstains like dark flowers blooming against the mold. She's awake. Mark's merchandise is always good quality, a man with a scarred face muttered in a foreign tongue. He shoved a phone in her face. Come on, smile for your new boss. Isabelle opened her mouth to scream, but the heavy buckle of a belt crashed against her collarbone. The cold tip of a dagger slit open the collar of her shirt. 3 months later, late one night, I received a video call from a number with a +95 country code. On the screen, Isabelle was kneeling in front of a sign with foreign writing. Her right eye was swollen shut, and a dog collar was chained around her neck. A man holding a gun spoke through a voice changer. $5 million, or we'll mail you her uterus. Unmoved, I hung up the phone and immediately dialed 911. What happened to Isabelle was no longer my concern, but fighting crime is every citizen's duty. The government was in the middle of a major crackdown on international fraud rings. Within a week, they had raided the compound. The entire crew, including Mark, was arrested. They would face the judgment of the law. I later received a copy of the autopsy report from the police. Isabelle Reed was confirmed deceased. During her captivity, she had been forced to film pornographic videos with multiple men. When she wasn't doing that, she was forced to make scam calls. The slightest mistake was met with brutal beatings. After enduring inhuman torture, her organs were harvested and sold. When the police raided the compound, they found her body dumped in a ditch. I closed the file, feeling no great surge of emotion. Isabelle took one wrong step, and then another and another. If she had possessed even a shred of common sense, she wouldn't have met such a horrific end. The open field and freedom she so desperately chased was nothing but a carefully disguised bear trap. The bait was the stars in the sky. The trigger was her own insatiable desire. For Isabelle, death was perhaps a release, but her parents would have to live with the pain for the rest of their lives. None of that had anything to do with me anymore. The Cherry live streaming project was a massive success. The explosive growth in orders proved that all my seemingly aggressive and unreasonable decisions had been correct. The company's leadership decided to create a new e-commerce subsidiary and appointed me as its general manager. During that time, my assistant, Sophie, and I worked together seamlessly. A mutual affection grew between us. Not long after, we were married. One afternoon, I looked up from my book and asked Sophie, who was making tea, "Do you think life is an open field?" "Of course it is," she said, smiling. "But we're the ones who get to define what that means." She was right. Life is the sum of our experiences. It doesn't have to be about doing what everyone else considers meaningful. As long as we find joy in it, staring into space, watching the stars, or simply enjoying the quiet rhythm of daily life can be its own kind of wilderness. We are here to experience life, not to perform a perfect version of it. I gently pulled Sophie into my arms, soaking in the simple, profound happiness. This was good. This was more than enough.